So Amber, what are public matters for this week?
So last week we didn't actually, even though we said we were going to talk about it, but we didn't talk about it. The Maui Fires.
Yep.
Then we're going to talk about the new COVID mandates. The new COVID.
New old?
Variant that will require possibly new mandates.
And you do know they're starting mandates again, right? I'll tell you about that.
I do know that I saw some tweets about it. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about the southern borders. Mm-hmm. I did look up a few things on that and how the
gates are open.
The Biden administration is quietly auctioning off the supplies.
Yeah, the steel that's left over.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've gotten $2 million for it.
And then, but we also should talk about the guy who started building the wall, and I think it was in 2019, like that. I think it's like 3 miles.
Not too familiar. Sounds familiar.
He got it funded.
Okay.
Like people donated.
Oh, yeah,
and then he built this wall, and then we'll go into, we can talk about that as well, but obviously that's like very tiny, and this was also in 2019, so this is not...
But it ties into what's going on.
Right, it does, and it will tie into what you're going to talk about with the southern borders. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the Maui Fires.
The Maui Fires. So everybody knows there was a huge wildfires in Maui. So there's some interesting things. Let's talk about the interesting things here. Everybody knows what happened. There's a large fire. There was a number of deaths, a number of children who have died, which is another curious part we'll touch on. So what's the origins of it?
So from what I looked up, because I really don't understand this whole Maui fire thing, because I've seen a lot of different videos and like a lot of different reels and TikToks about like how the fire actually hit behind like really nice homes. So it's almost as if it was like on purpose.
There is some curious aspects to this. Now, fire does do curious things. There's no doubt about that. But there's some very curious things about this, and we won't go into detail because we don't have the time to do this. But I'll point out some things that the viewers should take a chance or take some time to look at. And our guest here is being awfully noisy over there.
Milo, who was just going to make sounds, not actual appearance.
I think he's leaving in frustration. He's not liking the topics today.
No.
So anyway, there's some anomalies that took place that people have noticed, and having been involved to some degree in some firefighting in my life, knowing that things happen. But these are peculiar. For instance, there was a hurricane that was I can't determine the distance because these move, but anywhere from 200 to 300 to 500 miles away, and the direction the fires were burning was opposite of where the winds would have been fanning it, but the flames were going towards it, which is an anomaly as well. But there was those instances in many cases where these very nice homes miraculously survived.
Yeah, and I saw some other videos about how it like missed the trees. Like the trees seem to still be green, even though there's like burnt places and like location is just like looks like it's been scorched.
Not to mention you got molten metal from structures and vehicles right next to a tree that survived without being damaged. It's very curious.
So it almost makes it look like it could be like with those laser fires.
A DEW, direct energy weapon?
Yeah.
Technology, DET.
So, that looks a bit suspicious.
So we don't know the origins of it. I mean, there's was it? They say, it was power lines and all this. Well, there is some reason to believe that. But when you look at other facts, you would steer away from these things. But you know what took place? Two things took place prior to the fires. One was they had a conference over there about turning one of the islands into a artificial 15-minute.
Yes, they're called smart cities now. They don't use the word 15-minute cities. They're now called smart cities.
Oh, they're smart cities.
Yeah, they're changing that, and
they always do that.
idea behind it is C40, which is actually it derives from the World Economic Forum.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of
They keep cropping up, don't they?
Right. So the World Economic Forum has a C40, which is a global network for mayors of the world's leading cities that are united in action to confront climate crisis.
Oh, it's all about climate. It's all about your well-being. And
Yeah.
again, these things aren't organic. This is being driven. But anyway, so you have they had this conference, and they also just passed a law over there about the government taking over property and land after a natural disaster. That's very coincidental that you have those two things happening just prior to this, and the anomalies of the fire. Burning through these areas that were owned by native people. Right down to the water,
So last week I messed up because you had said that they were going to get $700 for the Maui Fires, and I was like, oh no, it goes
700
to
person, right?
Right. It goes to something else. No, that's true. It's only $700 that the government is issuing to these Maui survivors. I mean, these people have survived. Yet I don't see a single Hawaiian state flag being put up in my state or in my neighborhood to represent the support that people have for Hawaii and the Maui citizens. But yet we have sent how many millions or billions to Ukraine? And it's not even in our country. Like, that has nothing to do with us. This has something to do with us.
That's
and our president can't even stop himself and, I'm going to get it in the way. What the hell? Are you kidding me? And then he relates
a toaster fire?
His kitchen fire and worries about his 67 Corvette. And these people have lost their livelihood. They've lost all their things. Yeah. Some people have lost their family. And we're relating that to a 67 Corvette.
Well, it's all relative, right? I mean, you do care about your children. You do care about your Corvette, right?
Right.
Which is gasoline, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. 67, there was no electric.
So you have all these things taking place, and then you have an Obama wannabe that, because of equity, this guy's name is, let me find this. His name is Kaleo Manuel, former deputy director of the Hawaiian Commission on Water Resource Management. He waited 5 hours to release water to fight the fires.
Oh yeah, because of diversity or something.
Yeah, he wanted to have an equity discussion about where the water was going as people's homes were burning and there was a disaster facing them. And not to mention, the children were sent home.
Oh God!
There was roadblocks where people couldn't leave. I mean, and did you know about the police chief?
No, I actually.
The police chief was also the on-site. He was in the sheriff's department in Las Vegas when they had the shooting out there. So he's got this dubious background of these issues taking place, and our guest is not happy. I don't know if the listeners can hear him, but he's not happy. He's just not. So, so these things are very, very strange. And what other anomalies are taking place here? We don't know how many children are dead. They know that they were sent home. People are saying there's over 1,000 children right now that are missing. And there isn't, if you watch major media right now, these stories are not really being covered for the gravity of it. There's people out there, you got to realize these communities are it's an island.
Yeah.
And they're missing children.
Well, because some people saw the fires and they jumped to the ocean.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get away from fire, which is, an uncontrollable force.
They didn't know where to go.
Well, where are you going to go? You're on an island. The only place you can go is the water.
There was no public alarms on this. They never talked about the evacuation. Like they have a tsunami alarm over there that everybody recognizes. There was no alarm. That was down. You see the coincidences that just build up here? There's just too many things that took place for everybody to say it was all coincidental and that there's no merit to these things and that it was, it was a down power line, it was just a tragic event and all this stuff.
Yeah, but that...
it's a bunch of nonsense. You have a sheriff or a police. He's also the coroner out there, head of the coroner's office out there too, which makes things a little bit sticky too. But he was in a major event in Vegas for that Vegas shooting, and now he's at this event. He's a police chief out there. I mean, this is like being at Sandy Hook and then at another major shooting, like Boston after they went after those two guys in Boston, which seems to be a couple of people that were at the same location there too. But so yeah, we have that going on. If people want to look into these things, this is all being reported, and decide for yourself whether it's just too many coincidences going on. I feel that it's just too coincidental for all these things to be taking place at the same time in one event.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the only real thing that media has on it is the fact that a lot of people, had thumbs down and were, FJB signs, let's go Brandon,
yeah, that's their concern, right?
And I think they're rightfully so. I mean, these people should be upset at their president.
Yeah, but that's not the story.
No, the story is there's a lot of Trump supporters that are rallying around. I think, did Trump stop there already?
No, but the story is the tragedy. And the things that are going on out there.
But we're not discussing it.
Yeah, they want to talk about the fact that these people are disgruntled with the president, and they've got FJB signs.
Right, and no one is. And then he was at some ceremony or some service or something, and he's passing out. He's asleep in the video. You can see him. They're doing some. I don't know. He
needed his nap.
Of course he did. It's ridiculous. And it's just, everyone, he's over here not giving a shit about the people of Hawaii, yet we're about to issue more money to Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, this is outlandish and unbelievably obnoxious that we just don't give a shit.
No, we don't. And we've got to, let's go into we don't give a shit now. We were going to talk about the border, too.
Yeah, at this
Talking
point,
about not giving a shit.
The money is gone for the border.
Yeah.
And a lot of it just went right to Ukraine. Maybe it's that $700 a person for Maui that's costing.
Well, they didn't allocate any money down there to complete the border wall.
Of course not. Why would they? They don't want that. That's not where we're at. The thing that I read was about how so with the southern border, there is no southern border. It's all open, basically.
It is.
And I guess Texas, tried to make those
floating barriers.
Right, and they had barbed wire on it, and people were disgusted. And I mean, I don't find that to be. I mean, you have to be a bit dumb to go against barbed wire, especially in water. You're not going to be able to see it, and it's going to rip you up. So. If you're going into the country illegally, and this was any other country, people would be okay with the fact that people were getting hurt to get into their country.
Yeah.
But because it's America, apparently we're not allowed to be...
You're just supposed to let them in.
Right. And we're supposed to be okay with that.
You're supposed to give them minutes on their cell phone, because we already gave them the cell phones. Right? You remember that story.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting cell phones. They're getting housing.
Yeah.
We're changing hotels into
plane
housing
tickets,
using.
bus tickets.
But yet they can't work here because they're illegal.
Yeah, for 6 months anyway. And then we're passing laws in different cities and states that illegals can vote.
Oh yeah, we are, and that they can get IDs with no real identification.
So what's going on right now? One of the things that's going on with the border, as you know, it's open, but there's an estimated 113 gates in the border wall that have just been opened by the U.S. Border Patrol on orders. So they are estimating this will increase the crossings. The ones, and these aren't the ones where they have. What do they call them? Contact with them or whatever. These are the ones that just let them through. So there's 113 estimated gates that are open right now, and these people they're thinking there's an extra 2,000 people a day going through these open gates, and.
So we have that happening. So people are just randomly just coming through in the drones.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Biden administration who is quietly auctioning off millions of dollars worth of unused parts that Trump had set aside for the wall
Yep.
for nothing.
Yep.
For basically nothing. So this wall was going to cost us, I don't remember what was
4 or 5 billion. They said they couldn't afford it. Remember that? Oh, we can't afford that.
We can't afford it. We can afford 75 billion to
easy.
75 whatever to Ukraine.
And we left over 68 billion in Afghanistan.
Exactly. And you know, the argument that you get from people, like if you say this, like, oh man, look at all the money that we've given and left. And, well, those are machines.
Yeah.
It's like, you're right, because in surplus, if you were to go to the surplus auctioning, I can't even say the word. Auction that they have, or that the government uses, you're only getting pennies on the dollar. $2 million for all of this material? Are you kidding me? That's what we're getting for this?
Yeah.
So Americans get $2 million, but Ukraine gets $75 billion.
Yeah, I saw this wall section that was made out of, I guess it was, I don't know if it was bar or pipe, and it was massive in size, and they were loading it. Yeah, and it was something similar to that, and they were loading it onto trucks and to be scrapped.
Okay, because here's why. So here is so there was a wall that was built in by
was this the one in 2018?
Yeah, 2018, 2019 by the Rio Grande. Okay, so this person or this group of bankers got privately funded, which I believe they actually even got in trouble for this. So they got privately funded and they set up the wall. Like that, the beams that look just,
Right.
I think they're steel. They put it too close to the river, and so it's starting to erode. But here's the kicker. They put it up, and then the butterfly sanctuary, which is a few miles or, miles down the river, is upset because it's affecting the butterflies. Now, I'm sorry. I understand.
They determined that it's upsetting the butterflies.
But with their rates of reproduction or whatever.
Sure,
The butterflies are offended.
Yeah.
But
what about the moles? The moles, they must have dug up a bunch of moles.
Oh, they don't give a shit about those. Those are ugly creatures.
It's just the butterflies.
The butterfly sanctuary petitioned and has been petitioning, and they actually, I think they're one of the driving forces behind this company not able to, or these guys that funded this portion of the wall to even go further, because it's against sanctions of some kind of, I don't know, awareness of butterflies or some kind of sanction that they petitioned or whatever. So we are not putting up a wall to prevent people to come into the country illegally because of butterflies in this part of the
It's all made up.
Of course it is.
And I'm sure that this butterfly sanctuary probably gets federal funds, and I bet they're all of a certain demographic.
Of course. And you know what? The World Economic Forum probably put this sanctuary in place.
Probably.
To help us build our butterfly colonies in America. Or America and Mexico, because I think it's along that border. So I find it fancy that we are more concerned with butterflies than we are concerned with our well-being in our country. Now, I get it. Butterflies do have a pollination and they help with food, and I got it. I understand that is an argument that you could say, but I still don't want sex offenders, drug addicts, lunatics just wandering over. If you want to get in this country, why don't you go the legal route?
Because that's not what it's about.
No.
And these people, you realize that these people are coming over here, they're funded, like we had a show on this, they're funded through these NGOs.
Oh,
and these people will fly or take ships over to this. This is not cheap. That's why this thing is orchestrated. This is an orchestrated event that's been going on now for over 3 years. Don't get me, and it has... Anyway, this has tentacles, and we've discussed this in other videos, and we'll discuss more of it at another time, and maybe deeper in debt. Get me on the budget. So these things have a lot of tentacles reaching out there. The roots are really deep where these things go. So yeah.
So the border is wide open, and people are coming in. By the drones, but they're not allowed to be shipped to
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard, because that's it. And in Massachusetts, you should allow these people in your home. Like open your doors and go ahead and let them in. That's one of the things.
They want to do that here.
New England, of course, wants to do it because New England is all
the blue states. If you live in a blue state, your governor wants these people here for.
Oh, well, we already in our state. They're already taking hotels and making them, and we're in the New England area.
Maybe we border New England. Maybe we're close.
It doesn't matter. States are taking hotels and changing them into housing for illegal immigrants.
There's another story to be talked about there too, because these hotels that are taking these people in are losing business because the state or the federal government, whoever's funding it and however they're funding it, they've set the rates.
Yeah.
So they put these people in there, and the crime is just crazy in these areas. They're using them for all kinds of things, prostitution, drugs, and whatnot, and it's killing their businesses. And they've asked their governors to stop doing this to deaf ears. And
well, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you remember or you know of the story of the Cecil Hotel.
No, I don't think
so. It's a hotel out in California that used to be a very high class, very great, very awesome. And you know how California has different zoning than most states.
All right.
So in California, they can take a portion of a hotel or apartments and change them so that there's a section for like Section 8. So basically
isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's great. So this high class hotel had to conform because they had because I think in California the law states if you have so many rooms, a certain amount of those rooms have to be budget friendly. That's how they word it. But really it means that they have to allow people that can only pay, a couple bucks. So of course, part of the hotel is a shithole, and the other part of the hotel is really nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of stories that go along. Like there's an actual serial killer that actually lived in there for a while. I mean, this hotel has been for I think quite a few hundred years. It's been open, and I mean, it's been called different things. And then there's different stories. It's haunted. The whole Cecil Hotel story, like the long one, is huge. But the point is that the fact that the government can tell you.
Yes.
Hey, your business is no longer your own. I now want a portion of it, and you have to do it.
Because what they'll do, if you don't comply with them, what the government will do, the states will do, is they'll pull your license to be in business to serve food or alcohol. They use a strong arm on them. Exactly. And these hotels are losing business left and right, and the media in each state and so forth is not covering the story about how it's affected these people's businesses.
Oh no, the media in each state, especially if you're blue, is how amazing your state is, or your city is, or your town is, by allowing these hotels to become sanctions for these immigrants.
They won't even talk about the increase in crime that's going on in certain areas where they had no crime before. Now the crime is horrible. Each state in this country now is a border state because we've had, where we are anyway, and we're in the quiet northern part of this country. Can't say where. Maybe we're close to them. Look, and the crime is not being reported on. These stories are not being reported on. And even the schools are suffering from it, where they're giving school children have to take certain classes in regards to these immigrants who are here illegally. And
we're bending over backwards.
Yeah.
So the last topic we have is well, we
do care more about the Ukrainian border than we do our southern border, don't we?
Of course we do. We've been dishing out
billions and billions to them, and none for our own border.
Oh, none. And there's no one putting out flags. There's no one posting pictures. There's no one, we're not holding the Maui the Hawaiian state flag. I mean, it could be easy. You could virtue signal that way.
Yeah, I see Ukrainian flags, but
everywhere.
But you don't see an American flag anywhere in people's yard or on their car or anything like that. But you'll see it.
Of course not.
No. But anyway, I digress. What were we getting into?
Oh, so this is going to cause us to get one of the little warnings at the bottom of our.
Oh, this is going to be good. Know that just by mentioning.
Yeah, as soon as I say it.
No, you can't say it. You gotta say that.
It doesn't matter. That's still gonna knock the. I could say C-19 or I could say.
I thought that was.
No, it's not gonna make.
I thought that was camouflage.
You can't. The algorithms will pick it up anyways.
Can we call it pizza?
No, I think that would be something different.
Oh yeah, that's right. You want to talk about Pizzagate, right? That's true. Let's not talk about that.
So, anyways, we're about to have misinformation by the the fact checkers, which all of a sudden are going to be all about what we're about to talk about.
You know that you're right on the money if you've been fact checked.
Yeah. So there is new COVID variants that are coming out, and there are new COVID mandates that are about to come out. I don't know what it's called yet. I think it's like
Does it matter?
one. No, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
But I just read an artitle, like it was released like an hour ago, that the new COVID variant does not. The new COVID variant doesn't. I just said it incorrectly again. Won't be affected by the vaccine you already have. So,
of course not.
So, and I've said it.
So we've got to come out with a new vaccine.
Of course. But the thing I don't understand is that the CDC just released an article about masks not working and that they misinformed us.
That's correct. Even Fauci had that. It said that he knew the difference, but he wanted to be on the cautious side.
Of course he did. Ass. So how is it that we are, or you see people with a mask still on when the data is already there that it doesn't make a difference?
Well, here's the thing. So this is what's coming down. And there was a couple of shows that reported this maybe a week ago or so, but this is, it was, in fact, the media in some regards came out and said, oh, you guys, you right-wing conspiracy theorists and so forth. But guess what's a fact? Colleges across the country right now are beginning to implement, again, these mandates again about not only vaccinations, which were ineffective, the mask, the social distancing, going back to classes, virtual classes, and so forth. All these things are coming back. And the TSA is the same thing. By mid-October, the TSA, is everybody that enters a plane is going to have another mask on. Except these things are coming back. And this is being done quietly right now.
Yeah, I think... it wasn't they didn't come out and said it was just a secret letter to the CDC that the top entomologists suggest that there was misinformation about the masks.
Yes, but in interviews with Fauci, he had fully admitted that he was just erring on the side of caution because there was information out there that he didn't necessarily ignore it. He said, but it was inconclusive, so he wanted to err on the side of caution. Even though everybody in the known world said, one, we have freedom to get sick if we want. If masks work, wear them, you're safe. And all that other nonsense about being vaccinated.
What I don't understand is that we have, we only have a little bit more time, but we have this idea that it says, what is it, trust the science? So,
doesn't the science say that there's only two sexes?
That's a whole different topic, and we can't talk about that unless we want to talk about it.
We don't have enough time.
Exactly.
We've already covered some of this.
Of course, but you can talk about it more and more all the time. It's constantly changing. But trust the science. So is it not true that science tells you that you need to keep looking and you need to keep fighting for what is true? Well, not what people say or what...
It's not settled science. If there's a discussion about it, it's obviously not settled science. If you have scientists on one hand saying one thing and another, it's obviously not a settled science.
Right, and that's the thing is that, you can't say trust the science or someone's an idiot because they didn't wear a mask. What about herd immunity? Why has that never been discussed, truly? Yes, people have said it, and when you say it, you're a right-winger. If you say it, then you don't know what you're talking about. Right. Vaccines are the way to go. That's not how it's always been.
And let's make a point here. It's not a vaccine. It's a gene therapy. This is not a vaccine they put out.
Well, right. Actually, most vaccines are gene therapy because they have an RNA instead of
the new ones, but
DNA.
when years ago when they used to give you a small dose.
Yes, but
those are true vaccines.
Yeah, but that was way back.
Yeah.
Way back. They've actually been using RNA, which is
I just want to distinguish that these are not true vaccines.
Well, right, but
and we haven't really had it for 100 years.
Exactly. It's been at least 100 years that we haven't had true vaccines. We've actually been using also animal tissue and animal things that have been getting vaccines, or I mean, that have been getting the virus or whatever. And what we're not thinking with, and what also we could talk a whole show about it, is that with vaccines and them using animals, there's like retroviruses that animals get that can be transmitted to humans by the vaccine itself. So the vaccine itself can give you viruses that are not associated necessarily with what it's fighting, something else in their DNA.
Isn't that great? I just want to eat meat that doesn't have any. I just want to eat meat. I don't want all the other additives in it.
Oh, they've even proved too the whole like growth hormones that they put into cows for milk, and we still have them in our milk. I mean, they just tell us about it, you know. I mean, it's the same thing with the whole like, you know, Bill Gates buying up all this farmland.
I know.
What is going on here? And like, who is buying the land in Maui?
Oh, well, that's going to be purchased by the government for one, and I'm sure that some of it will go on the auction block. Go back to the Maui thing for 2 seconds. There is look at the number of people like Oprah Winfrey, for instance. Her place was spared, you know, and the fire never went there, or this rich place. But it only took the islanders who were trying to preserve their land. Now it's in jeopardy that they won't get it. But anyway.
But they get $700.
They get $700.
$700. That's probably worth not $700.
Well, we were talking about this. Yeah, look for it. It's coming. So we want to alert you. And there's not. We're not blowing the whistle. You know, we weren't the first one to ring the bell on this. But if you're watching, look into this, because if you haven't heard about it, it's coming. They're going back to these damn mandates again, and it's coming, and right into an election season. You wait and see.
Of course. See, the only thing that worries me about this whole election series time frame is that I feel like we're going to get into some kind of state emergency that Biden cannot get out of office. That he will stay in office.
You never know what the big plan is. Are they going to replace him?
Well, they tried to replace him with Kamala Harris, but her numbers were so horrible, she couldn't be replaced. She was worse than him.
Well, I mean, there's a theory there, but are they worried that McCarthy, who is, you know, he's a Republican, but he's really one of the worst, he's probably their best ally, actually, McCarthy. So McCarthy would move up into Camilla's position, and she would take over for Biden. I mean, I don't know what the plan is. I mean, you can roll the dice. But you just know it's not going to be good. They're not there for the America or the people. It's not there for your rights. They're chiseling away at your rights. The rights that people had 150 years ago. You do not have the freedoms that your forefathers had. And